in. We are underway for our final game of the day, and it is, of course, Miracle.
Yes, I was a bit excited about our original plane path we had seen, just in that I love bad circles, I love bad plane paths. This one is very fair, right down the middle of the map, you know, pretty easy to get to most of the spots you need to get to. There could be a little bit congestion here or there on some of the north to south, you know, arteries that run around there, but I think actually this one should be pretty fair. What I'm really keen here, and I'm glad our observers are kind of keeping a bit of track of it, is what's going to happen with the Trumacera Church, because that's been the real point of contention. Turkey doesn't seem really interested in giving it up. Korea kind of a little bit befuddled by this. They don't expect a team that doesn't drop Trumacera to fight for that spot, so we'll see exactly how this one's going to shape up in the early game.
Well, as we sort of pan back over to the left-hand side, you can see Smash and Quet Park close by to Loki and Lash K. And this is going to be something to keep an eye on as we get into our final game of the day. As it stands, the United Kingdom do lead the leaderboard, 62 points to the 46 of Finland. So a 16-point gap going into match number 5. We'll see how that all translates at the end of the day. 5 seconds away from our circle to get us underway here for match number 5. And we go up towards Al Pozo, up to the very far northwest.
Oh, I really want to take to hit one of those winning shots. So bad. Love the new circle here going up to the northwest area. This one pretty likely to end somewhere in and around El Pozo, north of El Pozo, pretty likely. So really excited for that. I think that's one of the more interesting areas of the map. There's a lot of kind of cool hills and other things to play on, but yeah, for the most part, a lot of teams are going to be out of this. Again, this was a very central plane path, the circle pretty far away from where most teams like to drop. Nobody was really able to get to La Coberia. Nobody
go out early. It just keeps those points ticking over.
I mean, again, it's individual hero plays like this, and T-Bone, one of those guys that's, once he gets fired up, it seems like he's hard to stop. He is an unbelievable player, one of my favorite players individually to watch. The way that he controls his spray mechanics in particular is absolutely nuts. So the top killers, it's going to be Paige. Again, another one of those heroic guys. They're absolutely having a banger tournament so far. I mean, if you just took that heroic team and brought them in here, just like PGC, obviously these guys can really get it done.
We spoke about sort of the PUBG Nations Cup kill record, which was 16 last year, of course now broken by the United Kingdom with 17. Well, it was 16 from Finland, hence of course seeing 3 of them in the top 3 of that top 5. So an absolute powerful performance from Finland, 26 points of course from match 4, heading into this one, 2nd place overall. The United States, at the moment, 10, 15 points. You have a good game here though, and no, if you have a good game here, you're still in it obviously, by all accounts, but if you go out early in match 5 and that top 5, top 6 continue to just rack up the points, it's not going to be a good sleep tonight for the US of A.
It gets scary if somebody like the UK just puts up another huge game, not just for USA, but everybody who's frankly below Vietnam right now in the lobby. It really will be on the outside looking in big time. So in some ways, you know, absolutely, you got to start right now. You got to get into the second day feeling good. You know, if you can put up a big win here right now, you're going to roll into tomorrow, you're going to leave the event. All of a sudden, those first 4 games that you didn't play just kind of wash off of you. You're able to go back to the hotel, have a good night. Everyone has a positive attitude. You're ready to rock and roll on looking over the VOD review, doing all that stuff, working with your coach, working with your teammates. It all just kind of snowballs into positive effects.
Certainly so, for them and others as well around them on that sort of portion of the leaderboard. They're making their way over towards that Al Pozo region, the northwestern side here of Miramar, where we've got that circle. A lot of teams actually rotating rather early on. Thailand have been able to sort of get to the western side of La Cob, and then you've got Finland in a really good position. Brazil amongst it again. Their position has been impeccable so far. For Argentina, bottom 5 at the moment, 8 points, but they've been thereabouts and had some moments.
Yeah, for Argentina, the early games were kind of troubles in rotations for them. They were getting caught with similar ideas and similar timings as a few other teams, so, you know, to avoid that can be difficult. Again, these early tournaments, you're trying to feel this all out. Now, Turkey's watching the USA go by. I think USA should be relatively okay on this. Yeah, they're over the hill. No real problem. Some damage to the vehicles, but everything else is handy, you know, hunky-dory.
And of course Korea, they are making that sort of rotate on the western side of this circle, and they'll play from that position. So again, already though, the similarities from what we've seen through the first 4 matches, Korea, Brazil, Finland, they're getting these positions, and that's really been something that has been able to sort of translate through each game now. It's become a trend.
Yeah, you kind of have general rotation paths, like when you work with your coaching staff, right, coming into this event, and especially an event like this where you probably have to kind of simplify things a little bit to make sure everyone's kind of on the same page. So you're seeing the same ideas repeated because you've practiced these rotation paths. You know what's relatively safe. You know, especially on Miramar, you have to know the places that you can drive off-road that's going to be easy to drive, that you're not as likely to have, you know, some vehicle stall-ups, some things like that can happen, of course. And so you've got to be prepared for those. So, yeah, I'm absolutely not surprised at all. And also Korean teams, there's that area around the trailer park that a lot of them really like to kind of hang out in. There's some hills that you can get, at least in their region, sometimes relatively for free. And you're able to kind of be on the outside looking in, and that's a good shot.
And that could be spelling disaster for the USA. Trimsy down early. Smokes are out. Kickstart, of course, will want to go for the save. It's never going to be an easy one, though, with Korea watching, and they've got good positions. Lash K, though, in a bit of an aggressive position. Now, they have not really been in an aggressive position all that often so far, and they get punished for it. H-Twin up above, peeks over, gets the down onto Lash K. The USA are up to this one. They're up to the challenge.
I think this was a little bit of a kind of everybody was trying to go to the same place at the same time. That's great shooting, again, by Anonix, who's looking to kind of make up for some of those mistakes early. Loki, with almost no health, the grenade just goes a bit too far. Kick, still trying to put pressure on him. Knows he has an isolation.
Oh, really good use there to get that flash going, but he gets flashed back the other way. Now they just go ring around the rosy, and Loki finds the best position. Lives up to his name, playing a bag of tricks on Kickstart, and he falls, and it's only H-Win that's left alive now for the USA, and it looks like he is not long for this world paper. We even get the pyrotechnics and the show that's kicking off here. Unfortunately for the USA, though, they are looking like last place for the last game of the day.
This is crazy. I mean, Lash still hasn't even been flushed because everybody has been doing their part for the side of Korea. Now, finally, Win is going to at least get the point, at least salvage something out of this game for the USA.
And put a little bit of hindrance there onto Korea for not being able to finish off H-Win all that quickly. Sharp shot gone, flush. That's Sol. He'll take that one. It's a freebie. Trimsy bleeds out to Inonix. Hello, Brazil. Maybe trying to help out the America's brothers, but Sparking's too far away there.
I love what he's doing, getting involved in this. Finally, Anonix going to take down Win, and Korea is going to win that fight. They lose their IGL Lash in the exchange. Never really able to kind of find any success with that AK early on.
Yeah, and look, it's so unfortunate for North America, but that's why NA stands for near airport.
You just had to get it in, didn't you? Oh, yeah, but they deserve it.
Well, look, you know, and it goes back both ways. We'll play devil's advocate. We'll be the nice guys. It's only day one. You go back to the hotel, you VOD review, and then you come back day two refreshed. And also, believe it or not, when you do actually have a bit of a poorish day, it does relieve a bit of pressure, because at this point now, it's like you come in day two, okay, no one's expecting us to maybe do as well. Now we can maybe play a little bit more freely.
Yeah, there is some... I think that's a good mentality to have going into it. There's definitely something to be said about that. And I don't think you can keep this USA team down for much longer. They're just too good. Top to bottom, that team is really, really unbelievable. I mean, you've got PGIS winners on it. You know, you've got Kickstart, who's been absolutely nuts, and Sharp Shot has really picked it up again this year. So, yeah, that USA team, I have very little doubt that they won't be having much better performances as this event goes on. So, Circle 2, again, not really too sure in terms of the circle theory where this is super likely to go. It can go north, it could go central, it could go southeast, it can go just about anywhere. So phase 2 will tell us a lot more about where we're going to end.
Okay, well, it looks like El Pozo could actually be the, well, in this case, the point of interest living up to its name, as Brazil, really good position on that hill on the western side of that major road. Korea, of course, I think they may have to actually alternate and change their position up a little bit too far west now with that kind of circle. We'll see how they go for their rotation here into phase 2. Germany coming in late. They were actually extremely late because they were out all the way at Porto Paraíso on the other side of the map, really as far as you could possibly be. So no wonder they're only getting into, well, essentially what was the phase 1 circle now here for phase 2.
Yeah, it takes a while to get across there, and some teams thrive on those kind of situations. Others, it's a little bit more difficult. You know, they want to play more central circle, and that seems to actually be working for a lot of the teams so far. You know, Brazil in particular has been playing more of a center circle style. Shinboy is going to grab the Mark 14 out of the crate there, so a very nice pickup in the early game. You know, get that level 3 gear, you get that unbelievably fantastic sniper for this part of the game where you're able to get in some of these tall buildings on the outskirts of El Pozo and maybe really put it to work.
Yeah, I do wonder, do we get a bit of a city finish to maybe close off the day and really let that close quarter combat shine?
It wouldn't be PNC without one. I mean, we had that Los Leones game in the last one that was absolutely insane.
So Zhao Pian is taking a few shots. Not really the easiest to land with a barrel from that kind of distance. Vietnam not going to be two-phased. They just drive on by. Not sure exactly where they're aiming to go. Obviously, maybe just sending it into El Pozo might be the play. I think a lot of teams might end up with that same thought, especially depending on what happens really at the conclusion of Phase 2 going into Phase 3.
Yeah, Vietnam's in a pretty awkward situation. The circle could end up going down in their direction, of course, but it's not as likely to, so they're going to have to get some information, figure out what's going to be open into Pozo if they have to move in there, or if there's going to be any space for them to maybe try to rotate around the western side of the circle to try to get deeper towards the center, which is more likely where the circle's going to go eventually. Again, doesn't have to, but right now, based on what I know of the circle theory stuff, like it could go center, it could go Pozo though. I mean, a lot of Pozo is pretty open.
Yeah, certainly. You were talking about some of those teams out west, obviously out towards the east. We saw the United Kingdom. Feels like they've not really had a game today where they get sort of a circle feed, always on the move, always repositioning, and so far they've been able to at least confirm a lot of kills, get some good placement points, and I think that really does drive home the validity of their wins and success so far through day one. It's not like they're having a free day.
And they're moving to spots that are, ooh, nice shot here by Ali. That is a really long one that he's able to hit with that 3X car, but they're setting up in spots a lot of times that are good for traps, right? Not just the bridge camping, which is pretty obvious, but you know, if you were just looking at the map feed, they were out on that kind of crossroads. There's a spot where there's like a valley. The road that runs towards El Pozo from the east to the west has two really large hills on top of it, and you can set up like a 2-2 split across it and cover so much ground with your snipers, hit a lot of people as they try to drive through. It's hard for your opponent to veer off course or try to veer into safety because of the sight lines you're able to create from that spot. So right now they moved out of it as nobody's coming, so they've recognized that, and now they realize they have to start positioning for future circles. I
do like this though, sending the two sort of out towards the El Pozo fields and being able to hold that sort of position, especially if they do get a bit of an El Pozo circle, which again, it seems like that might end up being the case. Of course, out towards the west where you've got, say, Brazil, still very much playable, even up sort of towards the north with Finland. So a couple of those teams still in some good positions. Norin's taking a beating though by Luke 12. Unfortunately for Norin's able to just get away, survive, fire a shot back, really well played under pressure on what has already been a tense day for Thailand. And now teams don't make the move. They've seen enough. They've seen this Phase 3 circle. They're feeling like El Pozo is going to be the play. Duck fight. He's got Loki right in front of him. Surely he gets this down. He does, but at what cost? He got run over by Sol, and now they should be able to get the revive onto Loki.
Yeah, they're going to put the barricades up around it. Now Sapao has to defend more teams coming through, so everybody needs to go east. The circle is basically it can't go west. It's basically impossible. So everybody's trying to either get into Pozo or get somewhere around the outside of it, because all these teams know there's almost no way in hell this circle's going to the west. So it's time to get inside of here. So good job here by Korea to recover. Good job by Sol to be kind of proactive with his car and just take out his opponent. And they're going to get the res safely. Meanwhile, Oz still has kind of a weird situation up here. They've got Thailand now rotating ahead of them, but there isn't a ton of space that the circle's like likely to go to eventually. They're going to have to play it.
Brazil haven't actually moved yet either. They're going to hold their position, and hopefully it pays off for them. It does, at least with one kill onto Janku. They'll get a freebie for Brazil. 43 points for them now. Obviously, one team to keep an eye on. Balmoth gets caught as well by PHC, and Brazil. Haven stays alive on 1 HP. He'll pop that full med kit, and they continue to rack up the points.
Well, if you're wondering, you know, why this rotation, this fairly dangerous rotation was being made, again, the teams know where these circles are super likely to go. And also, Thailand had already gotten the information from their two leading players.
They're going to go, I think, for a long wrap and try and come in on the northeastern side of El Pozo.
Super smart.
Rather than pushing down where we saw Thailand, who they obviously saw in the kill feed, just get lit up. And at that point, they probably look at it as a choke point. You've got Brazil on one side, the teams in El Pozo on the other side. Really smart there from probably Luke to sort of pinpoint that. I'm just giving him the plaudits as the
No,
IGL. It could have been anyone on that team to make that decision, but really good and smart play. They're going to make their way into El Pozo, where we've got basically the entire lobby now.
Yeah, he's got the information. I mean, sometimes it's good to let other teams take the risky maneuvers for you so you can see if it's going to be available or not, to see if you're going to be able to backfill behind those teams. And for Australia, now they can get up into those mountains. Now they can get information. Again, look into El Pozo, see what's going on, because eventually somebody's going to pop their head out the window, because everybody else is trying to see, is anybody going to try to crash into our building? Is there anything we need to be aware of that we need to set up defenses for?
Chinese Taipei, unfortunately, paper. Probably haven't spoken too much about them, and the reason why at the moment, last place, and doesn't seem like they've got the memo in terms of El Pozo, and it seems like the circle itself hasn't got the memo. I did mention I think it can still go a little bit to the sort of northwest of El Pozo, and I think it's maybe shaping up for that. I look at Japan, and I actually look at that sort of position, the crates on the outskirts, and I do wonder that might be where we finish up. Yeah,
there's two sort of zones where this circle's going to want to end up right by that mountain, like right close to the road, just to the east of the road. And whoa, we've got Loki now down and dusted by Isaki. Vehicle explosions everywhere. Anonix and Seoul under pressure. Still nobody else knocked for Korea, but they are in trouble.
And they got Germany as well, peppering them from behind on the cliffs just outside El Pozo. And it's Savior, though, for Chinese Taipei. That gets the down into Inonix. Can Seoul maybe keep himself alive? Just barely. More smokes need to go out. All of them. Throw them all. Whatever you've got. Savior, oh, look at this angle. Just peppering inside of the smoke. But Seoul has been able to navigate his way over to Inonix. Use every smoke he's got to get the star man up of Korea.
Yeah, but what do you do after this? I mean, there's nowhere to go because so much of the western part of the circle stayed in. A lot of teams expecting it to more hard shift towards Pozo. It doesn't do that, and so that's left a lot of these high ground positions that leave where Korea is currently sitting under fire. So when those smokes run out, they're all but dead. I mean, it's going to be really tough to get out of there.
Just about reaching the 18-minute mark. Still got 15 teams, 55 alive, as is usually the case with any kind of city finish of some degree. And I think really for today, this is going to be the kind of game where it's going to probably phase 5, phase 6, be that sort of boiling pot of just so many teams alive, and then we're going to probably lose about 20, 30 players in one hit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, once the edges of El Pozo start to get squeezed out, is when that's very likely to happen. Now, Australia, as great as their initial move was, because of this shift back towards the west, they have a difficult one to follow up with.
Nice little spot here, though, where you can kind of just see the way the terrain shapes further down. It gives them a spot where they can just pull up for the time being inside of the circle, and no one can really see them. A reprieve, and they didn't lose anyone on the drive down, so it works out well for them. Back to low, it's China. Xiaolu immediately sat down, though. The United Kingdom just continued to frag. Doesn't matter what country you throw at them, they find a way. And Aixleft has blown himself up as well. He's going to have to get smoked and hopefully saved if China is going to have anything happen for them this game. You've got to get him back up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they really need to start having these superstar players, this almost like pure dream team that you could have from the Chinese region, all up and running, all firing together. The UK has a really tough situation now. As great as today has been, they are on the edge of a city circle where they're going to have to fight tooth and nail to get through.
They've already shown their prowess in doing so and being able to find kills, push forward. I actually thought there for a second there was an opportunity. Do they have that information on China where they can push? And well, it looks like Zhao Pian actually on the backside catches Fex and maybe punishes the UK. For a brief second, there was only 2 up for China. They got the kill onto Xiaolu, and they would have seen Aixleft get knocked in the kill feed. Was that a chance for the UK to maybe push on that?
Yeah, it's hard to say for sure, especially in Pozo, because there's so much elevation in the buildings that you never know when somebody has an angle down onto you when you're trying to make a cross. So it can be really tricky to get in and around. So RDK now knows there's going to be pressure coming from Germany, going to swap over to the pump shotgun to face off here at what is likely to be a close quarters combat fight.
Well, Canada looking to maybe help out the United Kingdom. Adam with a quick 1-2 punch onto Aixleft and Ming Ming. And Aixleft is in a awful position. Considering he's also double knocked, he's going to bleed out. So it's going to be only 2 up for China. It continues to be a rather difficult day.
I think Adams was like, oh, he was already double knocked. I didn't need to throw that, but wow.
Oh my God.
Fights are kicking off everywhere. We've got Germany and Indonesia squaring off. Grenades here from Zhao Pian as he tries to get the finish on the bars. That's good enough. That should be job done.
Yeah, Xiaopian has been able to really be a thorn in the side of the United Kingdom in this particular game. We see the end of Germany. It's Indonesia that has been able to pick up those kills. Final nade there for Xiaopian. It's a perfect nade! Onto the heads of T-Bone and Vard. It's been a special day for the United Kingdom, but it might come to an early close.
Oh, and man, you've got a Groza in Ming Ming's hands as well. Let's see if China can make something out of this to kind of snowball some more kills in this fight. Meanwhile, Canada has been moved out of the circle, so this initial hold they had onto the UK and the China, it's going to have to change a bit. Australia continues to try to maneuver onto the north side of the circle. Things get more and more difficult as they go. Again, there's still some high ground left in the western part of this circle.
Xavier, Chinese Taipei, they've been able to hold out this northwest position and not really get bothered by mainly the fact that everyone in El Pozo is fighting each other. Talk about nades, it goes back the other way. What was once the savior for China ends up being their downfall. Smash down, courtesy of Niles. Bit of a fragger for Indonesia, but he goes to Lyron on the stairs. Don't think he was anticipating the Turkish player to be that close. And only Teddy remains for Indonesia. 5 kills for them, though, and a decent little game to close out day 1. And he pulls out the sword-off shotgun, and he puts it to good use onto Quetbar, making 6 kills. Oh, Teddy! The quick snap headshot onto the stair player of Lyron. Indonesia's up to 7.
What a play from Teddy there. I mean, it looked like he was basically down and out and just running in there to see if he could maybe salvage something out of that. Meanwhile, Australia just getting corralled at the backside of this rock. Again, the overwatch that Chinese Taipei and Brazil is able to bring on this. How are these Korean players still alive? I cannot believe that they still have both players up.
Australia needs a northern shift, or Brazil needs a southern shift, really. And we're about to get it here for phase 6. Nurans now for Thailand. Catches Seoul on the backside. We go to Al Pozo on top of Japan. Korea's gone. Bit of help. Vietnam, Thailand have become friends in an inconvenient time. 11 teams, 35 alive, and we've almost reached the 23rd minute. Glory's just outside the concrete building of Thailand. They've got 1 kill. They've still got their star player alive. And at this point, with this kind of finish, this kind of circle, anything can happen, Paper.
This is going to be tough now for Team Thailand. As happy as I am to see that big moment for them, they're going to have to battle a couple of different teams. They're going to have to make a cross against some dangerous terrain. Meanwhile, somehow Australia has recovered. They still have all 4 up, and now they're getting knocks onto Chinese Taipei.
They have to push it. They have to wipe out Chinese Taipei, then push into El Pozo. Brazil finally on the move. Malroch and Yan Li meeting the demise courtesy of the nade of Luke 12. That should be enough for Australia to find the kills. They spot the last player of Chinese Taipei and surely cannot make it out alive. Savior falls to Monty. It's 11th for Chinese Taipei, and it's Brazil pushing onto Thailand, and they are going to make quick work of the duo of Nurans and Esquilucia. They still get a round of applause, though, from the local crowd to close out the day. 9 teams remain, and this is where I probably expect it to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, now there's no guaranteed direction that the circle is quote-unquote likely to shift in. Everything's fair game, more or less, at this point. You know, Australia able to hold on there onto the north. Brazil able to keep Thailand at bay. That grenade does a little bit of damage to Sparking, but not going to find the knock. Now, Argentina, they've got a good opportunity to do some damage in this round.
Well, speaking of good opportunities, with the United Kingdom going out relatively early, Paper, it's a great opportunity. Brazil, Finland, Australia, Vietnam, even maybe the likes of Canada, Indonesia, to really rack up the points, close out the day, and close that gap to the United Kingdom.
I'm really curious about this rotation here from Australia, trying to get on the other side of these vehicles. Now there's like a
that's not
enough
it.
of a plateau.
That's not it. Unfortunately for Australia, it hasn't quite worked out for them. They had a tough track, didn't they? Up north, circle didn't help them out, and they fall quickly. But honestly, what's worse is they're feeding a direct competitor in Brazil, who now move up into 2nd place on the overall standings.
The way that Brazil is maneuvering themselves, making their timings. When they cross that street, they hit it at the perfect time. Vietnam had left. Thailand was trying to get there. They were able to cut that off. Yeah, no, he can't, because he'll stand up. Yeah, you'll see him if you try to res here, because you'll be on your, high enough that you peek up over the edge of that bus.
No smokes.
No, this is.
I wonder, can Flood crawl over and drop off whatever he's got? Now, Brazil, I've seen them in the past make some crazy car plays at PUBG Nations Cup. Didn't work out well for them last time. Hopefully, they don't have the same thing happen this time. Haven goes for a wrapping position out west. Now, he's a solo player. If he gets knocked, he's dead.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is Duckman's in the crowd? No, this is a great maneuver here by Brazil. This road here, I was going to talk about this if the circle kept more of the road in it, but it didn't. If you come from actually the west to the east, you have great overwatch Overwatch, and you're seeing right from Haven's perspective.
Two things. Tiggleton is in. Haven is not. So does Haven just go back? I think that's the play. He has to probably go straight back to Brazil and then pushing across the road, go and maybe onto the building of Vietnam.
Crash this. No, I'm kidding. You shouldn't do that. I'm totally joking. I mean, he might do it. It's you know, it's PNC, go big or go home. But no, absolutely, he should rotate back to his team. You need to group up as 4 at this point in the circle. It's C7. You just got to work with your team and try to make this go.
So down to 9 teams. It has come to a bit of a quiet point. Teddy with a nade. He's only got the 1. But it could do so much damage if it catches a couple of members of Canada. He's flashed momentarily, pulls out the sawed-off shotgun, which already got him a kill earlier, and it might get him another one. He lands a second shot, headshot onto Jimboy.
No way!
He gets a second tag out the window. It's like James Bond, and then the nade. It could be so detrimental for Canada. Jimboy, crawl as fast as you can, and he does. They get Teddy, and they get their players alive.
Man, I thought Teddy might pull off another miracle there. Meanwhile, Japan trying to defend against Finland. Now, I talked Japan up in their defensive maneuvers. Let's see if they can get it done here. You know, tons of utility being exchanged on both sides, but no significant damage done either way.
Finland have been able to show their prowess too, fighting late game. We've seen that especially even in match number 4. Martinson with a knockdown onto Sparking. Talk about rivalries there. Argentina, Brazil. They need to get Sparking back up. Brazil also need to push into El Pozo. And it's time for Japan to get their hands dirty here and fight off Finland.
Yeah, I think most of the utility has been spent on both sides. There's still a few frags in the hands of Mexi here, actually, now that I take a look. So he's got an opportunity maybe once they get a spot on some of these players to go for it, but he just wants to use the flash, cover a little bit of ground, get inside of this shack, try to gain more space onto Japan. But right now, they're settled up. They're waiting for this push. They need to heal up a little bit as well.
Not inside of the circle, so Finland have to keep moving through these smokes. And of course, at any moment, you've got to check every single corner. You don't know where Japan's going to be holding. And Diggory has one in front of him, both literally directly outside his window. And on the other side of it, King goes down. That's correct. See Finland get that first initial knock, and that will help things. They can now push forward with more numbers than Japan. Polly with a good angle, and he's knocked through Garaxi. Quick double. Pain pushes through Finland and just storming through Japan. Good night and hello to Finland.
Well, Kane tried to make a maneuver there with the shotgun to get up close and personal, see if he could do some serious damage, but he was caught through the smokes. He was seen before he saw anybody from Finland, and he paid the price. Now, Vietnam still 3 up inside of this warehouse, but again, these are tough to hold down.
Hello, Tiggleton on the edge of the circle. Hope he's having a good time. And just really, he's got a crate as well right next to him. He could use that for cover, then a tree. He could do the little dance maybe. If everyone's just watching, especially considering Brazil are getting taken apart. Sparking's gone. He's out of here. Vietnam now up to 5 kills, 37 overall points, and they are keeping in touch with that top 5.
Yeah, I mean, now Finland's really feeling confident. After wiping Japan off the board, they are now just trying to take full control over the eastern side of the circle, but you still got some really tough, really good teams over here. Canada, Brazil, Vietnam, and so Canada going to be first on the docket potentially. You can see Mexi trying to keep eyes on the smoke line to see if they're going to come out from that direction.
And depending how this sort of plays out, there's a chance Finland could end up in first place at the end of the day, which would be absolutely mind-boggling considering the day that the United Kingdom has had.
I remember where they finished at 2019.
Exactly. Nade. Oh, Tiggleton. Hello. Tiggleton. He gets the knock onto Page. Does he have a way to impact this? I think he will. Shimboy steals it. Nade, though, lands from Glories onto the head of VHC, and at the same time, Tiggery got Finner. It's all kicking off between all 6 teams.
Yeah, okay, now Turkey has been eliminated into 6th place, and Canada struggling to try to get to these reses, but Mexi doing a good job being up close and personal. Again, watching for anybody to come out of the smoke, and he's going to get another one here. He got a flush, make it 2.
It's only Keenan that's left, and that smoke is dissipating right into the eyes of Finland. 3 teams left. Somehow Tiggleton gets to the top 3 for Australia, Vietnam, and then Finland. Lo and behold, of course, it's our same top 6 sort of kind of teams that we've had all tournament long. Now, down to Vietnam and Finland here for the standoff of our final game of day 1.
Well, a 3v3, and Vietnam's Haisaki needs to get back into a defensive position to support his teammates. Clory's going to switch over to the pump. Makes a lot of sense. Pretty much Finland has to come through the warehouse, and Haisaki, unless Haisaki falls here on the side, if he does, then that's going to open up a flank angle for Finland.
Finland looking for back-to-back chicken dinners to close out PNC day 1. It would put them top spot as well. A slow burn has turned into an absolute fast race for Finland. They have stormed home on day 1, looking like arguably the best team right now. But Vietnam, no slouches, no pushovers, 8 kills, led by Clories with 3. They are going to be a very even contest to close this one out. 3 versus 3. I don't know who's going to win it.
I don't know either, but the battle lines are shifting here. Vietnam is sort of doing a fighting retreat. They're throwing some mollies, some smoke, some stuns, but look at this maneuver by Mexi. There is nobody out here who has any clue. Clories, let's see if he can get something done with this pump. He might have heard Mexi coming through the door.
Well, I just wonder, maybe Clories is holding that sort of backside, expecting a flank to come through like we're seeing from Mexi, and he could then be the one to play spoil. Sapao could actually maybe a chance, and then what? Sapao did find a headshot onto Mexi. Quick little double though, Sapao Clories down. It's only Haisaki left now in a 1 versus 2, but he's on the outside with the fence, and he knows that Finland, both of their players on the inside. Do they go for the revive onto Mexi? There is a smoke up, but it will be dissipating. Haisaki, no nades, no Molotov, not much of a chance to really push in, but an interesting angle through the fence line.
Yeah, and he's afraid to go for the flush because that will reveal his position, or, you know, at least give them an opportunity, because he's going to have to peek through. So Diggory is going to finish off Clories, and you can watch through those angles. They're a bit tough to shoot through. Mexi's just going to crawl forward and try to be a distraction, at least sacrifices the point over to Haisaki.
And they get the information now as well. Haisaki immediately tagged as well by Diggory. Finland on the verge of back-to-back victories to close out day 1. He'll have a sip of that energy drink, but the Molotov lands, and that should be enough to pressure. They know it's landed. They push. They shouldn't mess this one up, and they certainly don't. Finland will take top spot at the conclusion of day 1 of the PUBG Nations Cup 2022.
Well, now they definitely have more points than they did at the entirety of PNC 2019. No doubt about it. These guys have come to play, and they look so strong, so calm, so collected, you know, doing all the right things at the right time. You see Mexi doing such a good job, the veteran player, the longtime PUBG esports legend, leading the way for his team, getting the information, holding the battle lines.
And the story all day, Paper, has been the same 6 kind of teams. On Miramar, Finland first, Brazil second, Vietnam third. That was match 4. And then Finland first, Vietnam second. It's just same.